We have a new story today. Let's begin. A sham. Why do I need anger management? So I did what any other guy would. Some people were hurt, but that was expected. They wrecked my life, and now it's spiraling out of control. Why is that wrong? Hello everyone. My name is Hank Wilson, and I seem to have rage issues. Folding my arms, I leaned back and surveyed the room. A court ruling required me to attend group counseling. I'm 35, married, and have 2 boys and my beloved daughter. The court-appointed group counselor, Jeff, gave me his usual indifferent glance. Hank, can you explain why the court ordered you here today? I sighed under the gaze. Definitely not a short story. Without pause, Jeff nodded. Hank, no problem. The next 3 hours are ours. Need time? Take it. I hid my typical annoyance as I started. I won't tell you how I met my wife, Kathy, but I used to believe she was the most gorgeous woman. Everything started at a stag party. Brother was marrying. We sent him out and made a big splash. With hookers and strippers, we went big. Hey, this was my younger brother. I told Kathy everything. No negative effects, please. Great celebration. It began at 3 p.m. From Saturday until 7 p.m. Sunday. It stopped when cops came because of the commotion. Kathy and I spoke at least 12 times during the celebration. Brother married, also leaving on honeymoon. I thought everything had back to normal after 3 months after the party. I had a long shower after work. I'll admit I smelled bad. I like dock work despite fishing for a living. Men can be guys, I suppose. Work, trash talk, and chill. Everything went black once I got out of the shower. However, how did it enter my bathroom? Must be a vehicle. I tried to stand but couldn't. My surroundings were foggy when I looked around. Only 2 people were in front of me. I finally concentrated on my wife and her sister in front of me. So you want to cheat on me? Kathy asked. When I stood up, I found I was duct taped to the chair. It was duct taped around my ankles at least 20 times. I couldn't move. Leave me now, I said. Yes, I will. You're a hole after I get even with you. Kathy said. Get even? What on earth was she discussing? I did nothing. I made sure my brother and I followed the rules. Both went. I must have waited an hour before they returned. Kathy entered. 5 stag men followed. I looked up and to free me. Mark was one of my best friends. We've been buddies over 20 years. As my best man, I named my child after him. His wife was the only woman I trusted after my wife. Mark bent down to look at me. You shouldn't have cheated on Kathy. Hank, Kathy forced the gag into my mouth before I could respond. Take advantage of Kathy. That guy knew I never lied to her. 3 hours of screwing must have happened. After they finished, she went to the shower without me or my 5 former friends. Unfortunately, we didn't record it, Mark said. I sat motionless until one of the other guys removed the gag. My jaw flexed as I stared at them. Mark said she was good as he approached. I always wanted to screw her. I couldn't miss this chance. It was necessary, even though I know we won't be friends again. I stayed mute. As I looked at him, I smiled. Mark said, Hank, let it go if you don't. Someone will be harmed. He slapped me in the face with what? I may have woken up in the hospital hours later. Kathy was sitting in the chair when I looked at her. The nurse must have fallen asleep, so I caught her attention. Could you phone the cops for me? Would you? I asked. Just before she asked why, I showed the nurse my wrists. She'd promised fast return. She returned 5 minutes later and said, they're on their way. The police found Kathy awake. What happened? She asked. Saying Hank Wilson is my name around 7 hours ago. My wife had 6 men tie me up and humiliate me because she felt I was cheating. My never cheating is the only issue, other than her being a bitch. I know everyone's name there. 2 of them are police officers, no doubt. If you won't do your job, leave now and I'll take it to the state attorney's office. Officer, tell us what happened, sir. I told him everything that transpired at the party. Kathy sat stunned, hearing. I informed the officer that the party was taped to document everything. I stated recording will show escorting. Officer approached Kathy and told her to stand. As she was accused of assault and kidnapping, the officer told her she could remain silent. I named all the men involved. Time to bring the pain, I told myself, was hurt. It was time to hurt everyone. As she was discharged, Kathy told me this wasn't finished. Hank, I'll punish you for lying. She was also charged with threatening me, the officer said. I found a way to cope with pain after a bad hospital stay. I required many licks. I had to be sure I wanted retribution, because it would affect many others. So I made a list. I went to the hospital first. Then they hospitalized me after lying to me. Third, got me hospitalized and screwed my wife. Fourth, my 304 wife helped me get to the hospital. So much for the list. In addition to my hospitalization, they may have the 304. This is my revenge, even if it kills me. I may follow through. My next week was spent planning in the hospital. I went to the bank following hospitalization. The teller told me my wife was trying to withdraw money when I was there, so I took $500. She was furious that none of my accounts contained her name. She returned with her attorney and was told none of the accounts bore her name. They left angrily. I quickly asked my brother for a good lawyer. He was unhappy with me and demanded how I imprisoned our pals. He ran out and stopped me as I turned. "What's up, Hank?" My brother was asked. Over the next hour, I told him and his wife everything. They sat with gaping mouths and bulging eyes. After I finished, his wife looked at me and accused me of lying. My brother told her to remain quiet because I never lie. She told him to be quiet because he didn't know anything. He wondered what was wrong with her. On 304's side. Then depart. Fool, he's my brother. After looking at him, she got up, went into their bedroom, grabbed her purse, and told him she was leaving. My brother looked her in the eye and said, "Let me make this clear. Please notify me if you become involved and decide not to assist my brother. We may dissolve this marriage because you are with us or not." She glanced at him before departing. We heard the car start. The door opened. She entered and dropped her wedding ring on the floor. "So be it," my brother said. Then she left. Both of us first consulted a lawyer. We followed my plan. By week's end, chaos would ensue. D-Day began spectacularly on Friday. Kathy went to work at 9 when my realtor put a for sale sign in my front yard. Kathy leapt from the car, exclaiming, "What are you doing?" The agent showed her the house for sale documentation. "He can't," Kathy sobbed. "Yes, he can. He lives there." Kathy's boss said he was looking for her when he arrived with a young man. "Are you Kathy Wilson?" he asked. "Kathy Wilson, I'm Kathy." "Wilson. You've been served," he said, handing her a large brown envelope. At least 50 calls came that day. 5 spouses doubted it. I told everyone the whole tale. Nothing was left out. At least 30 death threats reached me. I taped them all. I laughed non-stop while they yelled. They appeared more furious. Why you think a man will get even after you beat and screwed his wife is beyond me. My attorney presented 5 civil cases the following day. I requested $5 million apiece. My complaint against Kathy was for theft and bodily damage. Just chugged with my brother. He met several of our alleged family and friends. The assault trial was approaching. My brother's wife wanted to talk, but they both decided. Mark tried to grab me as I left work the day before the trial from behind a car. As I pulled MY.38, I accidentally shot him in the balls. He shouted that I tried to kill him when the police arrived. The cops were told what happened and requested to see the security tape if they didn't believe me. Mark saw cameras everywhere as he looked around. "Even though you're a fool, Mark, don't worry. They may reattach your balls. However, we know who will be the bitch in jail if they can't. Bolus dude in jail." "Boy, you'll be very popular," I said. The officer came back with the security tapes and asked to see my gun permit. I pulled it out and showed it to him. The officer said I was free to go. The trial was a slam dunk. The stag party tape not only showed that I never cheated, it also showed me calling Kathy every few hours. Mark and Kathy decided to stand trial together, She just knew they would walk away free and clear. The judge asked Kathy, who told her I cheated. And she said Mark's attorney said that it was a lie. He said Kathy was a 304 and had always wanted Mark to screw her. Kathy sat on the stand with her mouth open. Her attorney yelled objection and asked for a recess. Kathy's attorney came over to me and asked me to talk with him for a minute. "Hank, I know you hate her right now, but can you just let her go down in flames?" he asked. "Why would I help that bitch?" I replied, "They tied me up and put me in the hospital, and you want me to help her? Screw her. I could have died. Let her fry," I said as I walked away. He asked if she could speak to me for a second. "Hank, I'm sorry, I know I screwed up. I was just so mad. I never thought he would have set me up." "Come on, Hank, you know I have a bad temper." "Hank, I know. You still love me. Somewhere deep down you love me. So please put aside your pride and please help me," said Kathy. "Kathy, you hurt me. I mean, you really hurt me. I'm going to go against my better judgment and ask the DA to take it easy on you," I said as I left to go chat with the DA. I smiled and walked over to the DA and bent down by his ear. "Fry this bitch, please." I looked over at them and gave them the thumbs up. I would help her like she helped me while I was tied and beat down. "Now you want my help?" Kathy was sentenced to 8 years. Mark was sentenced to 25 years. When the rest of the guys learned about the length of the jail sentences, they all wanted to make deals. Mark's wife, Karen, came up to me after he was sentenced. "Hank, I know he hurt you and ruined your marriage. Did you have to do this to us?" asked Karen. "Karen, I know you're hurting, but they tied me down. Your husband hit me so much I had a week stay in the hospital. They and Kathy left me sitting there bleeding. I did what needed to be done. I wanted to kill them all. At least this way you have something to look forward to. He'll get out someday and you guys can move on. But I lost my wife, my friends, and some family, so who has hurt more?" I turned and walked away. You would think the story ends there, but it doesn't. I'm in anger management class because while Mark was in jail awaiting transport to prison, I was arrested for drunk driving. While serving my 10 days, I kicked his butt as many times as I could. I bashed him in the face while we were in the rec room. I hit him with a metal tray. I kicked him in what was left of his balls 10 times. When I had to face the judge, he said he figured
out what I had done. He gave me a $50 fine and time served. Over the next 4 trials, I managed to get even with every one of those maggots. 2 of them got jumped during a bar fight. While the cops were on the way, someone happened to have a taser gun. They both took over 1,000 volts to the nuts. The last 2 were beaten by 4 masked guys. Funny thing, I was in Texas visiting my cousin, so now I'm sitting here talking ass with you guys because the judge thinks I have anger issues. They all sat there for a minute, and then they started clapping. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Jeff stood up and said, "Hank, you need to learn to go with the flow and not seek revenge." Benny looked at me and tapped my hand. "Hank, you don't have to worry about losing money in your divorce. Mark and the others are in prison. What more could you ask for?" "Not one damn thing," I said. "Not one damn thing. I found out during the class that those holes got off easy. One of the guys in the class caught his wife cheating and shoved an axe handle up the guy's butthole. Another one placed a pair of vice grips on his wife's lover's meat and locked it down. The guy who scared me the most was a doctor. He drugged his wife's lover and took off his balls. They all served at least 5 years, and as part of their parole, they had to come to this class. I guess the judge is trying to tell me something. My brother's wife is back home and is trying everything to get him to forgive her. Kathy was her best friend, so I told him to at least try. I let him know that she had chosen our side because she could have told Kathy what was planned, and she didn't. I'm dating this wild redhead I met while at the prison giving Kathy the final divorce papers. It seems that she was there for the same thing. Karen's divorce from Mark was now final, and she asked me out to talk about what Mark asked her to do. It seems that Mark has a few new friends in prison, and he wants her to kill me so he can ask for a new trial. So she told him about her plan for revenge. "Mark, I promise you that Hank will pay. I will make it slow and lasting. He will look into my eyes and know how I feel about what happened," said Karen. Mark was a very happy man, and Karen was right. I saw nothing but love during that moment of connection. Kathy writes me every week asking me to come talk to her. She knows she was wrong. It's just that she was so mad. She has even been going to group to talk about her issues. I know how that feels. How am I feeling right now? Pretty damn good. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.